What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. As you can see from the title, positivity has arrived. Eze, is he set to sign a new deal? We'll be looking at that in the show. As always, we want you to get involved as well. So make sure to leave down your thoughts in the comment section down below. Leave a like, subscribe. Every single help matters. We are literally inches away from 4,000 subscribers. So make sure to help us support the channel grow. I'm joined by AJ here. AJ, look, after a win, all you do want is positive news. And this could be a very big news. Probably, I don't think we'll get bigger news than this year. And I know there isn't much left, but only a month left. But according to reports, Eze is set to sign a new contract at Palace. And this is according to the Daily Mail, that Eze is close to signing a new deal after reaching an agreement in principle with the club over fresh terms. Mail Sport understands that a new deal is now in place with just the formalities to be concluded. Eze has 18 months left in his contract, which is the key element. We'll be discussing that as well. But the deal is likely to see Eze on the region of £100,000 per week. AJ, 100k per week, Eze contract extension. He deserves it, right?
100%. There's no, and there's nothing about this deal that screams negativity to me. I think it's the right time. I think he deserves it. He's the poster boy of the team essentially right now. It's good news, man. I think even if we are in a situation where we do potentially lose him, at least we're going to get some value for money in return. Even better than that, we're going to finally put him on the money that I personally think he deserves. Obviously, in comparison to your everyday man, myself included, obviously that money's astronomical in comparison. But
per week, not even per,
you know, £100,000 he's got me behaving very differently. But yeah, it's good news, man. I think he's deserved. He's earned it. I think. Yeah, I'm happy with it, man. We needed it, man. We needed the news, man. It lifts everyone's spirits up, man. And it's good to know he's here. And I'm sure we'll back him and show him our love and appreciation come the weekend as well.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, AJ, I don't know about you, but this was the main thing that was kind of bugging me. 18 months is an awkward moment to be in. You either sign a new deal now or you think about in January, then next summer he's got a year left in his contract and you're just thinking, what if he doesn't sign a new deal? Should we move him on now? I think this is like the perfect timing as well, just for the whole squad. I think Eze, as you said, is one of the most important players, and I would love us to build a team around him. Of course, the interest, as the Mail reports, is still going to be there. But I think this is more significant for the long-term future of the club. Now that we got Elise signed, Eze signed, there's reports about Gehi also being in contract discussions. If we can get these all sorted between now and February or January, next summer, it gives us the opportunity now that we know that these players are here, that we can at least, push on. It takes away all the question marks, really, even though there are interest from other clubs of Eze potentially leaving for free, which would have never happened, but you could have ended up having to maybe talk to some of these clubs and take them more seriously if it wasn't to sign a new deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would like to be, I'm quite an optimistic individual when it comes to Palace in terms of, yes, it's important that we got him on that new deal for the fact that we didn't lose him for nothing, or in terms of losing him for very poor amounts of money. I think the ownership have realized that the way the Zaha saga sort of ended, maybe they've kind of pulled their finger out of it and realized, well, you know what? We need to get things done. We need to get things done early. I think 18 months is a very important time to tie somebody down to a contract, especially anybody that's played Football Manager or FIFA or anything like that. You've got to get these things done and signed, because you run the risk. And I'm very happy and I'm relieved, man. And I'm hoping this is a sign. I think with Elise signed in the summer, as they sign in now, potentially Gay, and maybe a few other key individuals in the team. I think even the Ayew and the Johnson contracts play their part in terms of the contract signing. But I think another way we got to look at it is it shows that there's a bit of belief there. It shows that there's, even if it's not obviously within the Roy Hodgson element side of things, the club are making steps in the background to kind of suggest we're building something here and we're building something around our star players rather than just any other players in the team. I think there's such an important player for us that it kind of gives us a statement of intent, and it kind of lets people know that we're actually quite serious. At least in that side of things. What we do in the windows, you know, winter come next summer, we shall see, depending on where we are. But I think where we are as a football club, even in the league table in terms of form, we're not in the worst position of places. So at the same time, it will give the squad a boost and the fans a boost, to be honest. So I couldn't be more relieved right now, man. We knew there was some kind of whispers, but there was nothing really concrete. And I think with the news coming out this afternoon, this evening, is kind of giving everybody a nice jump around the right time, especially getting into the fixtures that we're going to potentially be getting into as well. And why not? Might give us a kick up we need to start pushing up that table a bit, man.
Yeah, and as you said, he's such an important player for us, and the talks have been going on for a few weeks. Reports have suggested that as well. So it's not something that's come as a massive shock, but it's good that we managed to get it done, or at least, you know, the formalities concluded. It's just the paperwork that needs to be signed earlier rather than later. And now, I mean, what's next for Eze, do you think? There's been critical people of Eze as well, funny enough, saying he doesn't score against big clubs and he only scores against teams around us or below us. Like, what do you think is the next step for Eze to be, you know, to go and reach that next level, do you think?
That's a good question. I think he's obviously established himself as the main man of the club. I think he's definitely done that more or less last season. I think it's more a case of saying, okay, I'm that guy now. Let's build a team around me. In terms of what that looks like on paper, I think he needs to get himself more regularly into the England team now. I think now that he's kind of got himself in or around it, I think he's in a position, subject to him staying fit, that he can get himself into that squad on a regular basis. I'd love to see him be able to go on and achieve that, especially as a Palace player. I would definitely love to see him kind of start considering going for the double figures. I don't care who he scores the goals against, but, you know, a 10-goal, 10, 15 assist season is what I would suggest is the benchmark for a top player at most football clubs at the Premier League level. I think he just needs to push himself in leaps and bounds, but I think it's more important that he needs to be able to do that with the players around him as well. It's just not him that has to do the work. I think he needs a bit of support. So I think having Elise in the fold, hopefully Edouard will sort of get his form back. Obviously, he's got brilliant defence behind him. Bar maybe a right-back position. I think we have to start showing some of these players ambition as well. There's obviously something that Parish's or Doogie's got up his sleeve that can obviously make these players stay, because these players aren't stupid, you know. Elise is not stupid, and he's never come across as a stupid and, you know, more importantly, ambitious player. And I think that will be the same with Eze as well. I think more importantly, I think also the South London Connect plays a massive part there. People may or may not believe in that, but I do. I think the fact that you have an ability of players that do come from the same walks of life as a lot of the fan base do, and that side of things plays a part as well. And if they can represent us and get us up that table a bit, he has to be able to. We have to kind of give it two sides of things. I think one, you got to put him in a position where we can push us up the table and really stand out as a star player. But I think more importantly, at the same time, you've got to kind of build the team around them for them to be able to facilitate and make that happen.
Yeah. So now that he signed a new deal, are you concerned that he could potentially leave? For me, I'm a bit more relaxed. Even if he was to leave now, and we don't know yet if he has a release clause or not, I'll be surprised if he doesn't. That'll be a shock to me. But if he does, I know, well, hopefully that it will be in the regions of, you know, the above 50 million mark, which it should be. So I'm not that concerned. But are you concerned that we could still end up losing Eze despite him signing a new deal maybe in the summer? Because the interest is still there from top clubs.
Well, the reality is, even if he does leave, we get top dollar for him now rather than getting a budget price. Because, I mean, in all fairness, if he had 1 year or 18 months on his deal, we might end up getting bumped. And I don't know, a team like a Manchester City or a Tottenham or whoever it may be may come along with, I don't know, a 40 million, 30 million pound bid for a player that's probably worth double, nearly even triple that, depending on who's making the valuations and having those discussions and chats. So even if we do lose him, at least we know we're going to lose him for a figure that is fair. You know, at the end of the day, no player is bigger than the club, or no player should be bigger than that club. And if we're in a position where we do have to sell him, or more importantly, we're in a position where we can sell him, then we're going to get a good return on him, and I can't be mad at that. You know, at the end of the day, Crystal Palace aren't a club in a position where we are constantly competing in Europe. These players do have ambitions to move on to larger teams. And even when they're away with their national sides, I'm pretty sure people are probably whispering in their ear and talking, and, you know, agents do their thing in the background as well. But I still think that Eze could give us at least a good couple years before he needs to make that transition. But then obviously in his mindset and wherever other clubs are ambition-wise, might want to pick him up. So at the end of the day, if you want to come and sign him now, you've got to come pay the money.
How much do you think is worth then? After
how much do I think Eze is worth?
Yeah.
Realistically, 70 to 90 million, if we're being realistic in today's market.
90 million pounds.
Yeah.
Do you see a club paying that type of money for Eze?
Good question. Yes.
Has he done enough in terms of production levels to be worth 70 to 90 million pounds? We know he's important to Palace, but that's
one of the things I've said on here before is it's not what you think it's worth, it's what the player's worth to me. We held firm and did that with Zaha for years. I mean, it was unfortunate the way it ended. And some people might say we might have potentially robbed Zaha of a career or robbed him of certain abilities and whatever. But at the end of the day, if I've got a player under contract and I'm running a business and I've got to think about my numbers as well, you've got to pay the money to be able to for me to release those numbers. And with the cost of English talent in the Premier League nowadays, that's not a reason for me to ask for that kind of money. And you know what you're buying with him. You're buying a beautiful creative player here. Like, you know, he can dribble. The guy glides around the football pitch like it's nothing. I don't even see the man break a sweat half the time. So at the end of the day, you want that quality, you have to pay for it.
Yeah. Amit says, this shows that we're finally being a serious club. Getting these contract extensions squared away now hopefully means we're having a good summer. We end up having a good summer. Hopefully that is the case. Twisted ad saying we shouldn't put any pressure on Eze. Parish needs to step up now to support Eze. And I think this is it though. Sam Johnson extension, Elise extension, Eze extension. It's great keeping these players, but we know that we're still a couple pieces away from reaching that full potential. That might be a striker, maybe a winger, right back 100%. Don't even get me started. Today's positivity, so I'm not going to get. But right back 100%. We need to now make sure that, yes, signing these extensions, and nice and early as well. Sam Johnson happened last week. We didn't have the time to jump on here, which is positive. Elise as well, extension over the summer. But now we need to really focus on them 2 to 3 positions that we need to strengthen to get the best out of these players as well.
Yeah, I think what Twisted said and the gentleman just before that is bang on, both of them. You know, you do have to support them. You've got to support him, and you've got to show these players ambition. If we are a serious club, and, you know, I know a lot of people talk about how long we've been in the Premier League, we've never had the European campaign and stuff like that, but you got to start somewhere, you know. And I think also the previous statement before that, in relation to showing that we are a serious club, is, yeah, we're not going to be bullied and pushed over by so-called bigger clubs. And, you know, we're not just going to be having our players plucked out from us. If you're going to pay for us and we made the investment in these players and we've shown the love to these players, then you're going to have to pay us top dollar to move them from us. And I don't think that's unreasonable. Lots of people like to compare us to Brighton. When Brighton feel it's time to sell these players for the right price, they do it, and they always get the money that they're entitled to. So why can't we do the same?
Yeah, you are right. You are right. Chris saying our boys need love. TTF saying I think the board have been very honest and the players understand the value. The club won't stand in the way, but will demand a fair price. And you do get that sense as well. There's a lot of people who say, you know, why has Eze signed a new deal, Elise, etc. as well. Don't have bigger ambitions, but I think there are stuff behind the scenes that we clearly don't see, that these players are actually enjoying staying at Palace. I think the club looks after the players. The players, you know, return that favor by performing on the pitch. And I think it's a mutual respect between the club and the players. And that's why they are signing these deals to stay at Palace. It's not a toxic environment. Of course, they could play for better clubs, but I think there is, you know, that dialogue has happened with the club and these players, and that's why they want to sign you deal, because I don't think we'll stand in the way if a serious club comes and wants to bid serious money. But then again, that's if they do, and I think the players know the worth of Palace as well. It's not always brilliant. It's not always a case of, oh, you're fantastic at Palace, you move to a bigger club, it all works out. You can go south for you as well. So I think players are happy at Palace, and you have to give credit to the club for that. 20% goes to QPR. I'm not sure on that demo, but that could be the case. I have to check it out. It was a while since we signed him. I can't remember exactly.
They probably need the money, don't they?
Saying 80 to 100 million pounds for Eze. Chris saying couldn't agree more with AJ having a South London man sign up will inspire a lot of their academy players as well. It's a statement of intent. He has taken over the baton from Wilf, right back and striker in January. I don't know if he signed a right back and striker in January, but even a right back, look, I think we do need to sign a right back. And maybe we'll have a stream soon talking about our priorities for January. I think that could be a good discussion point when there's no news. But I just don't see it happening, AJ. Maybe a striker, but right back, when you have Klein and Joe Wood under the books, I think it's a case of waiting until next summer rather than January window.
Our Januaries, at least over recent years, have been very unpredictable. There's always like a weird sort of signing we bring in through the door that may or may not sort of work. I can't remember the last time we went all out on a player in January that we potentially needed, to be fair. I know we obviously got, what was it, Mateta a few years ago. I know we got Hamada, Lokonga as well, and one worked out, one's still here. So, I mean, if the club haven't done anything to suggest or show me that they will potentially do that. Obviously, what we've also got to remember is there is a new stand allegedly being built. So,
allegedly, it's
getting. I'm thinking of allegedly, but
not allegedly.
Listen, when I'm sitting on my new comfy seats in the main stand, then I'll let you know. But until then, my seat still sits there holding on for dear life.
You're trying to cover yourself. It's not like it's a conspiracy theory. It is. Well,
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, this is the stand that's trying to be the better chance of Westfield finally being built in Croydon rather than this new stand. It's in the same bracket. Maybe they got the same contractors. But it's one of those weird ones. So there's going to be obviously a bit of weird stuff going on with that. There's going to be money that's going to have to be distributed evenly. And remember, at the same time, we're not a heavy spending football club. We never had it. It's just not what we do. But I'm convinced if the right deal comes along, we could definitely get something over the line. But I barely ever keep my hopes up in the January unless there's something concrete going on. It would be nice to get some reinforcements, especially when, depending on where we're at and where we're going or heading at the time. But we shall see. We shall see. I would love a right back and a striker, but we're Crystal Palace, mate. Like, we just spent 20 million on a goalkeeper in the summer and he's injured. It's weird. It's just weird time. We just have to be happy with what we get.
Exactly. Kevin says, great to see Eze and Elise signing new contracts along with Johnson and Ayew. We now need to get Henderson and Gahey to sign up ASAP. And I think that is, well, the talks are that, we're focused on Gahey and hopefully we get a deal done with Gahey and Anderson, and then afterwards just actually focus on building on the squad. As we've spoke about, we do need some more players, and we've known that all along, and it's time to stop neglecting positions that we need to strengthen on. And I'm talking about right back. I need it to be improved. Our back three so far this season, you can say back four as well. Joe Ward has had some few good games, but he's hit and miss. Has been solid, but that one right back position, that's our main weakness, and we need to strengthen on it as well. Did anyone watch the under-21s loss? Curious how France did. I'll be honest, we can quickly talk about this, and then we'll wrap up. It's not about watching under-21s loss. I didn't watch it. I don't know if you did, AJ. Did you watch under-21s?
I saw the highlights. It wasn't the best game ever, but let's be honest, it was more of it was at AFC Wimbledon.
Yeah.
Ploughing. Yes, France didn't have a great game, but am I going to be sold on the idea that he's terrible? I found it kind of weird that a lot of people are writing him off, and I'm not a fan of that idea at all. You got to give the kid a chance. And at the end of the day, we're talking about a kid here that was linked with the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, and the fact that we've beaten that competition off for him, and how highly he's spoken of, and more importantly, the fact that he's been scouted for such a period of time. He's 19. Like, at 19, I was working part-time in Wolves. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, just let the boy grow. Give him a bit of time. I don't need to assess that. It was just a bad day at the office for the kids, from what I saw, to be and it happens sometimes.
I think it's pathetic. I think it's pathetic that there's people already writing off France after 3 games, and one of them games being an under-21 games against AFC Wimbledon. I'm not talking about Mitch, by the way. He didn't say anything, but there have been people on socials that I've been seeing that saying, "Oh, France is a bit overrated. He's this and that." The guy is 19. First of all, forget about it. He's 19 years old. He's younger than Eze. He's younger than Elise. He's younger than what we think he is. He's not on the same age group as them. Second of all, he's coming over from Brazil as a 19-year-old who came to Palace whilst being out injured, has come back from an injury, only played 3 games, and then all of a sudden, we're writing him off after 3 games. Did people expect him to be like Messi after 3 games, after moving to a new country whilst being out injured for the majority of the time? He came on against Newcastle. We saw glimpses of confidence. We saw even ability as well. He looked exciting. Yes, he's not going to have a 10 out of 10 game every single game. Against Spurs, maybe he should have took the chance. Maybe he's a bit raw, but let's relax. I mean, people writing him off. He might not be a success. He might be a flop, or he might be the best thing in the world. But you can't judge that after 3 games. That's simply not. It doesn't work like that. Especially with the third game being an under-21 loss, which no one really played good at. So I mean, we just need to calm down with our expectations with France. I said it before. He will need a bit of time. It'll be good to see him coming off the bench. And he has had some moments off the bench as well. But he's not going to be the best player in the world or the worst player in the world after 3 games. It's still very early. Let him adapt to the type of football. He's not even a player that's coming over from France or Germany. He's a player coming over from South America, 19 years old. He's coming to a whole new environment, new style of football, new expectations. Like, he's a whole new world for him. Let's just relax for a bit. Let's just relax. So when I see people writing him off already, I'm like, come on. It's genuinely pathetic. Like, how are we writing off our 19-year-old talent after 2-3 games? It just doesn't make sense. And he didn't even play for the first team yesterday. But look, I didn't watch the performance. But even if I did, and he had the best game in the world, I'm not going to say he's the next Messi. Even if he had the worst game in the world, I'm not going to say he's the next Calvin Andrew. He's just Francer. Let him breathe. Let him have his moment. He will build. And just give him time. Let's relax. I just had to say that because it's been a bit frustrating seeing some of the comments about Mateus, and it's a bit over the top for me. I just don't like it. Chris saying best ever signing January was Scott Danny's leadership and defensive qualities kept us up. Yeah, Saka was January as well on loan. I remember it was under Big Sam, and he was massive for us, and we ended up signing him on a permanent deal, and then he was always injured. Martin saying we have built a great squad of players. It would be brilliant if we could keep them for 2 or 3 seasons, but the reality is they will be sold for big money. Look, Martin, even if they get sold for big money, you don't lose out. You get big money. So that's a positive. You can't really lose out on the situation. If they stay, then they stay. If they get sold, then they get sold for big money, which we can reinvest back into the squad. So it's still a win-win for Palace. And I said that with Elise. Now, if Elise was to leave, I'm way more relaxed rather than that £35 million nonsense that was going on over the summer, because I know he won't leave for that much. So it's still a win-win scenario, how I see it, AJ.
Yeah, I think Martin, I mean, you're technically right, but that's the whole point. Like, that's literally the name of the game in this one. There's essentially, at least if we do end up having to sell these players and they do want to leave and move on to bigger things, we're getting a fair price for them. You know, how many players have we sold over the years that we've got a fair price for? Wan-Bissaka, possibly Balassi. Nobody else really rings a bell off the top of my head. And then think about how many players we've lost over that period of time and how many players we've had to reinvest into the squad. That's where my head is at with that. I think we just need to start getting ourselves into the mindset that if we are going to sell our star players, we need to get a good price for them so we can actually properly reinvest and give Doogie and all the rest of the scouting team something to work with, or whoever the potential next manager will be it Roy the rest of this season, something to actually work with and with something we can actually build upon. All I constantly hear is, we've been in the Premier League for 10 years, we're not moving, we're not progressing. I think this is a push in the right direction. I actually really do, you know. Elise and Eze, I remember in the summer, you know, especially after Wilf left, it looked like we were losing both of them. I was really just going to some mad depression, like, you know what I mean? You wouldn't have probably seen me in the channel again. But Steve Parish has turned it around in that aspect of things, at least anyway, and has managed to convince these 2 players to stay. We have to kind of lift our glasses up to that one and say, hey, you know, this is what we want and this is where we need to be. Now we need to build around these players and have even more quality into the team and even more quality players and make sure we invest in the right areas in the team. You know, and the best we can do is get behind those players and hopefully get the best of them while they're here. And then when they're ready to go, get the best of them in terms of price. I can't be angry with that.
Yeah, 100%. And on that note, we're going to wrap it up, people. If you haven't already done so, make sure to leave down your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit the like button, subscribe. As I said, we're basically there on 4,000 subscribers, but every comment, like, helps us achieve that goal and further. Thanks to every single one of you who's watched us live. Keep safe, people. Tomorrow, match preview out. Friday, opposition preview out. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And until next time, up the Palace.